Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We are coming to you live from our studios here at Sakumo Ramsa. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. I'm Carlos Caloni.
And I am Faustina Safo. Tonight, government presents 2025 media budget review with Finance Minister declaring the economy fully resuscitated with impressive numbers and significant spending on key obligations.
However, the minority staged a dramatic walkout and protest and presented petitions to the president, diplomatic corps and civil society organizations over the Ablikumanot election rerun violence.
Also tonight, the roads minister fires a warning shot, threatening to boycott cement manufacturers who fail to pass on the recent economic gains to consumers by reducing the cost of cement.
We have details as a hint of massive rollout of road project.
Also tonight, National Cathedral Secretariat mounts a strong pushback against the government's claims of fund misappropriation, describing them as disingenuous, insisting it still owes contractors close to $26 million.
Tonight, government is celebrating what it calls a major economic turnaround, painting a picture of a nation emerging from the shadows of economic despair to full recovery. Presenting the 2025 media budget review, Finance Minister Dr. Cassiel Atoforsen insisted the storm is over, backed by failing inflation, rebounding CD and stronger reserves. There's more in the following report.
It was a dramatic start to the 2025 media budget session. The minority caucus, led by Frank Anodompre, walked out of Parliament after the Speaker cut short concerns about electoral violence during the Ablikumanot by-election.
We cannot be part of the presentation of the media budget. And to that extent, Speaker, to that extent, we are exiting the Parliament and cannot be part of this process.
Finance Minister Dr. Cassiel Atoforsen rose to deliver what he described as the story of Ghana's economic revival.
Right Honourable Speaker, beyond the numbers, this is a story of sound leadership, better economic management, and a restoration of hope to a nation once in despair.
Dr. Forsen says inflation has dropped from 23.8% at the end of last year to 13.7% in June 2025, the lowest in over 3 years.
The Ghana cedi has demonstrated exceptional resilience and strength in recent months. At the end of June 2025, the Ghana cedi appreciated by 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the British pound, and 25.6% against the euro. This is a significant reversal compared to the same period in 2024 when the cedi depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16.0% respectively. I repeat, so far, we have almost reversed all the cedi depreciation in 2022, 2023, and 2024. This level of appreciation has never happened in the history of our country. Mr. Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker, fellow citizens, Ghana cedi no apeke.
But the recovery story is not just in numbers. The government says it is also spending, not just saving. It listed payments covering bondholders, free SHS, NHIS, and even allowances for teacher and nurses trainees.
An amount of $700 million US dollars of Eurobond obligations has been paid. An amount of $10 billion to domestic bondholders has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 2.9 billion Ghana cedis to the District Assembly's Common Fund has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 2.7 billion Ghana cedis to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 9.1 billion Ghana cedis to the energy sector for stable power supply has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 5 billion Ghana cedis of arrest has been paid. Right, Honorable Speaker, an amount of 4.6 billion to the Ghana Education Trust Fund has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 1 billion Ghana cedis to the free secondary education program has been paid. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 4.6 billion.
Another major announcement, the full recapitalization of the struggling National Investment Bank.
By taking these major steps, we have preserved depositors' fund valued at 6.4 billion Ghana cedis. We have also saved over 900 direct jobs at the National Investment Banks. So, Speaker, we have preserved an indigenous Ghanaian bank. But, Mr. Speaker, let me state this. Unlike the previous administration, we chose to spend to save a bank than spend to collapse a bank.
Dr. Forson also outlined major infrastructure priorities, from roads and bridges to hospitals and e-learning centers, under the Big Push and 24-hour economy programs. And with prices still biting, the finance minister made a direct appeal to traders.
I wish to take this opportunity to thank our cherished traders at Mokola for their valuable insight. Mr. Speaker, the update on the cedi and the prices, as said earlier, clearly shows that we have taken deliberate and decisive action to ensure that the challenges with exchange rate and prices are tackled head-on. Mr. Speaker, let me assure all Ghanaians that the stability in the exchange rate and the lower prices we are experiencing will be sustained.
Citing improved credit ratings and rising investor confidence, the government says it is borrowing less and spending more strategically without asking for any additional appropriations.
Mr. Speaker, macroeconomic target. Economic development in the first half of the year do not warrant a revision to the macroeconomic target and the appropriations bill. Mr. Speaker, I am not asking for additional money from the Appropriations Act.
Dr. Ato Forson says this is the economic reset Ghana was promised and insists the data backs it. But with political tension rising and cost of living pressures persisting, the road ahead may still be bumpy.
Well, let's explore this further. My colleague Caleb Sibling joins me in the studio. He's from our research desk and he's just been highlighting some of the key fallouts of the 2025 media budget. Let's start with government's expenditure for this year. What exactly are we finding based on the data we have?
Yes, Christina. So, like the finance minister just said, he didn't ask Parliament to give him more money. So, and this is quite interesting because now expenditure for the year has been revised downwards. Earlier this year, we expected 270 billion Ghana cedis to be spent in 2025. Now we are seeing 269.5 billion Ghana cedis. That's a drop. Marginal, but still a big drop because governments, they want to spend, but they have controlled expenditure. And the main thing the government is attributing this to is because interest payments are now down. Because once the interest rates are down, with the T-bill market, interest rates has come down to about 14, 13%. Once it comes down, it means you're paying less. And once you're paying less, your expenditure comes down. So this is one of the main reasons why expenditure has dropped from 270 billion earlier this year to now 269.5 billion.
And we've been hearing from both the minority and some economists tell us that the reason why we're not seeing so much gains when it comes to inflation and the performance of the cedi is simply because government is not spending enough. Is that what we found out today after the finance minister presented the budget?
Well, you're right. Like you said, the minority says that government is not spending. And if you look at the target government set for itself in the first half of the year, they said they'll spend 128 billion Ghana cedis for the first half of the year. Now the actuals are 109.7 billion Ghana cedis. So there's a shortfall. Government didn't meet its first half expenditure targets. The shortfall is 18.3 billion Ghana cedis. So government missed its first half expenditure by 18 billion. But then the important thing is that, one of the important things is that because interest rates are down, your expenditure on interest payments has also come down. So you will not meet the expenditure. But the relief from the interest payments was 5 billion. So if we take out the 5 billion from the difference, we have about 13 billion that the government did not meet. And we've tried to break it down for us. So the first line item we saw was goods and services. Government did not meet it by 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. Then we have interest payments, like I already mentioned. Interest payments is a good thing for us because we're not paying so much in interest payments. Right. We missed that by 5.1 billion, which is good. Then we have subsidies on petroleum products. The government did not pay at all. So the budget said 149 million cedis. It didn't pay in the first half. We still don't know why, but then the finance minister will be on PM Express today. We're going to ask him why they didn't pay for some of these items. Also, lifeline consumers of electricity. We know lifeline consumers pay less, so government subsidizes that. They pay part of it, and then the lifeline consumers pay less. 25 million was not paid. And then the interesting part is Gold Board. You know, because of we are hearing about Gold Board breaking in dollars and then helping the city, but then they were supposed to get 4.5 billion in the first half of the year. They didn't get any of it. So it's interesting to know how Gold Board was financing its activities in the first half of the year. And we are going to ask the finance minister that on PM Express. And then domestically financed capital expenditure. And this is where actual government spending happens, you know, roads, schools, construction. That's we had a shortfall of 4.7 billion from the domestic sources. If it's foreign and domestic, that's about 7 billion shortfall. So this is why people say that the government wasn't spending probably. And then we'll ask the finance minister to do on PM Express. But then if you do the numbers, you see that 40% of 2025's spending happened in the first half. So in the second half, 60% is going to happen. So it means that most of government spending will happen in the second half of 2025. So that's what I expect so far.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Caleb. Joining us on Zoom is Professor Ivan Sakwesi Jesse. He is an associate professor of international trade and director of Trade Growth Network. Grateful for your time. Now, the finance minister painted a very good picture about the economy. From where you sit as an independent expert, how would you describe Ghana's economy as of today?
Thank you, Carlos. Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. If you look at all the macro indicators, if you want to judge any economy, there are about 11 indicators that you would have to use. The GDP, inflation, unemployment, trade balance, currency stability, FDI inflows, business environment. I think the economy tick all the boxes. I'll rate the economy 9 out of 10. I think all the numbers stack up. You realize that the city has been stabilized over the last couple of weeks. Inflation is down. Business environment is conducive for investment. When it comes to our debt services, we are up to date. So I think all the numbers add up. So I would say so far, so good.
Right.
Whatever the finance minister and the team are doing, long may it continue. I think they are doing a fantastic job.
Right. Let's look at the impact this is actually going to have with regards to all the message it's actually sending to the international market. How are we going to benefit from it?
One, it creates investor appeal. We know that the economy is rebounding. We know that we have been able to put our books in order. Inflation is down. We know that, again, the city is also stabilized. So it brings investor confidence back. Again, that would also invite foreign capital inflows as well. And again, it would also indicate that we are open for business. You know, the finance minister made mention of the fact that we will go to the bond market again. Previously, we couldn't go. Why? Because our numbers were bad. We weren't able to keep our books. Hence why we are with the IMF. And I feel that we are out of the woods. Every indicator points to the fact that Ghana is open for business. All the economic indicators point to the fact that the economy has been resuscitated, and therefore Ghana is on the verge of reviving the economy and making sure that we usher in growth for every sector of the economy.
Right. Finally, before I let you go, definitely there are things that the government need to focus on to sustain this stability that we are seeing. What are some of the key areas they should be focusing on?
I think we need to still tighten our belt when it comes to the city. It was around 17. Now we are talking about 12 cedis per dollar. I think we can do more. When it comes to the inflation, initially there was a target of a single digit. But if you look at the mid-year budget that was read, the finance minister predicted 11.9. I think more ought to be done. If we can push it to a single digit, I think that will really help the economy as well.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing your thought with us here on Join Us Prime.
Well, let's explore this further. Joining us now is Kabiru Mahama. He's member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, and he joins us with his thoughts. We appreciate your time here on Join News Prime. The minority staged a walkout, and we're wondering your initial reaction to Dr. Tuforsin's budget reading. Mr. Kabiru, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly. I just wanted to get the minority's reaction to some of the key things we've heard from the finance minister. According to him, the economic indicators appears to show that this government is managing the economy far better than you did. Well, Mr. Kabiru, you would have to still work on your sound for us to hear you clearly, and we'll come back to you for that reaction.
Right. Moving on tonight, the Ministry of Roads and Highways is threatening to boycott cement manufacturers who refuse to pass on the recent economic gains to consumers by reducing the cost of cement. Now, hinting of the rollout of massive road projects under the government Big Push agenda, Sector Minister Kwame Governs-Agboja warned government will patronize companies which ensure a downward review of their prices. Speaking at a news conference in Parliament, he proposed a 25 reduction from the current 120 to 95 cedis.
The average Ghanaian just wants cement reasonably priced, reflecting the reality of the economy. Whether they are imported, produced here. Of course, government's aim will be that cement produced here should be prioritized. But if even Ghanaian cement producers have decided to make themselves the most expensive, what do you think the average person who is buying cement will do? You will source it from a cheaper source. It's the demand and supply matter.
Are you going to fight this crusade with your colleague trade minister?
Well, in my small way, I'm saying that government is about to unveil a massive road infrastructure project. We shall be ready to determine that cement that is used for government projects should be sourced from sources that are cheaper on the market. It's as simple as that.
Do you have average prices that we are looking at?
95 cedis makes sense to me instead of the so-called 120 Ghana cedi, which are called rent-seeking and so much unfair to the ordinary Ghanaian.
Is this a government policy or is it ministry?
I just spoke to you and saying that our ministry is about to unveil a significant road infrastructure program. And in this, cement is a huge component. I'm just giving an indication that cement dealers should take advantage and bring the prices down. Otherwise, we may be forced to say that if we find prices reasonably priced within the context of the economy, we have no reason not to direct that cement be sourced from those sources.
They say that the clinker is important, and that's a major component in their price build-up.
That gives them away. Cement clinker is imported. Today, the dollar is down. They made the same argument. That is why they increased the cement all the way to, at a point in time, almost 130 cedis. If you play back their own words to them that clinker is imported, what is the importation bill of a clinker today? If they make the calculation, it should be coming down. Because we haven't increased price of anything, or taxes on anything significantly to justify keeping the price of cement at 120 Ghana cedis.
Well, let's stay on the budget because members of the minority in Parliament today staged a walkout just moments before the presentation of the 2025 media budget review. But their action did not end in Parliament. Led by its leaders, the minority moved in a convoy to deliver separate petitions to the diplomatic corps, the presidency and CODEO, alleging electoral violence, security manipulation and government inaction on illegal mining. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Asante was embedded in the convoy and filed this report.
On the day set for major national economic briefing, the minority caucus in Parliament chose protest over participation, staging a dramatic walkout just before the finance minister could present the 2025 media budget. Their message: democracy is under threat. Led by Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Pejay and Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre, the group took their protest beyond Parliament to the gates of the diplomatic community.
Today, you agree with me that we are even having a statement on the floor of Parliament on the media review. But we find it very urgent to come and protest and let the whole world know that the violence that took place at the rerun of our election is something that needs to be addressed by the current government.
The petition cited incidents during the Blikuma North parliamentary rerun, including voter intimidation, physical assaults, and what the minority described as security forces looking away while chaos reigned.
The doors are locked, but that's what you can see here.
From there, the convoy proceeded to the seat of government, the Jubilee House. A banner reading "Stop the Violence" led the charge. The minority were welcomed by the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, alongside Deputy Chiefs of Staff, Standogbe and Nana Oyebampoado, as well as the President's Legal Counsel, Marietta Brew Apiapo. The minority's petition accused the government of turning a blind eye to the deteriorating security situation and failing to act on illegal mining ravaging the environment.
We are upbeat about subsequent elections to be held in our country. We are also worried about Galamsey. And it was one of your messages that you trumpeted with all the promise, rightly or wrongly. Now it's getting out of hand. Now, if we don't hear anything, and it is business as usual, it is absolute silence, we are not going to hear anything. This is just the beginning of a series of actions we are going to stage in this country.
Deputy Chief of Staff Standogbe accepted the petition on behalf of the presidency.
So I've received your petition on behalf of the Chief of Staff and the President, and we'll do well to present it to you.
The final stop was the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, where the MPs sought independent validation of their claims and called for reform. From Parliament to the presidency and the diplomatic community, the minority say this is only the beginning of a broader resistance. Whether their concerns lead to change or to deepen political tensions remains to be seen. The minority did not stay in this chamber to listen to the finance minister present the media budget review. But deep truth sources and very high-placed persons are telling me they're going to study the content of the finance minister's presentation and do make a public statement on that as to whether or not they agree with the finance minister that the economy has turned for the better and they have improved on what they inherited from the NPP or not. Time will tell. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, joining us live on Zoom now is Dr. Rashid Raman. He is with Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, ASEPA. Grateful for your time. Does walking out of Parliament moment before a major budget presentation actually undermine the institution or strengthen accountability?
I think the minority decided to hit the majority, at a time and moment when it hurts very much, and that is a strategy that they have employed, and that is what we saw today. We were all in this country under the MPP administration. There were so many things that Ghanaians complained about, and they were looking up to the minority at the time, but we didn't see a lot of that play out. This minority looks as if they are very well organized and they want to hit the supermajority, where it hurts, and they are, maybe for want of maybe better descriptions, they are bent on ensuring that their numerical strength is not a limitation. So they will be as loud as they can be, and they want to be heard by everyone who cares to hear them or to listen to them.
But would that make any difference at all, considering the numbers that the NDC has in the House, supermajority, like you put it?
Yeah, in terms of decisions, and so on, I don't think that would make very much of a difference. But I think they are appealing now to maybe what I would describe as perhaps trying to, make sure that the NDC gets concerned about the fact that such actions could undermine our country's democratic reputation. Because if you have these kinds of walkouts, amidst complaints about electoral violence, even though this is not the first time we are seeing electoral violence in this country, under their watch, there was a lot of violence. But it looks like the NDC did not take advantage of their numbers at the time to also make sure that the world hears them. But this minority is doing that. And I think that even if it doesn't change anything when it comes to voting or when it comes to the business of parliament, there could be concerns, about our standing in the world of, democratic parliament.
Right.
And I think that is what they are hitting at.
Thank you, Doc. We'll leave it here.
Well, let's explore this further, and join me now is Kabiru Mahama, is member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. Thankfully, I have better connection to him now. The minority walked out of Parliament at a time where the current managers of the economy were accounting for their stewardship. I'm wondering why decide to do that today, of all days.
Well, so good evening once again, and I think that the decision by the minority was born out of the principle that we are the guardians of democracy and we cannot supervise over an exercise to the detriment of the loss of lives of Ghanaians and potential loss of lives of Ghanaians. That was the first conviction. We are also of the mind that the government is coming in to ensure accountability, but that same government has failed to account to the good people of Ghana on the very promise on the issue that Joy FM and many other media stations have highlighted every day, the Galamsey menace. So we feel that this was an opportune time, a time that the NDC, the government, is expecting to have the minority to sit down and listen and to represent the good people of Ghana in that house. We are of the view, and considered view for that matter, that it was an opportunity to let the whole world know that we cannot support the executive when there are threatening issues, when there are germane national issues, when there are major national issues that the president has turned deaf and blind eye to. And this was clearly the message we sent, by the Minority Caucus of Parliament sent today.
Now, many question the timing, really, because Abdek Manot happened weeks back. You released a statement condemning it. Why not submit your petition immediately after?
Yeah, so we issued a statement mindful of the fact that we are giving the executive an opportunity, the president an opportunity to condemn outrightly, just like he did when he was in opposition, that unleashing of violence on innocent Ghanaians. That was the expectation, but the president has been quiet ever since. He's not said anything about it. And that seeks to embolden the very hoodlums and the very criminals who are engaged in those things. So I think that the president will want us to listen to him through the finance minister, and we don't also want to grant him the benefit of that audience.
As a minority, I presume you received a copy of the media budget review, and I'm sure you have reactions to some of the key concerns being raised by Ato Forson as previous managers of the economy.
Well, so we've already highlighted the point that the government's success in fiscal consolidation was on the back of the fact that government was very strict on expenditure. And your own analysis and the finance minister's own presentation has actually alluded to the point we are making. Look, when you budget to do certain things, it is presumed that resources are available to fund those activities. If you are not spending on those activities, and we are saying that the government is not spending, I don't see why the finance minister should labor to explain to Ghanaians that he's spending, when your own numbers clearly shows that you are not even doing as you promised. It's not the case that we're asking the finance minister to do anything outside of the budget. We are basically asking the finance minister, deliver on the things you stated in the budget. And those things, as you can show, as you've shown on your screen, the finance minister has failed to meet most of the expenditure. Interest payment were failed. Primary expenditure, which does not even include interest payment, were failed. We have failed in the aggregate expenditure as opposed to the planned expenditure for half year. So that is one. Two, when you listen to the finance minister, 70% of the presentation were still promises they want to give to the good people of Ghana, and you were all listening. They are still telling us that the big push is going to do A, B, C. They have not told us what the big push after 6 months in office, after we've given them mandate, what they have been able to do in the context of the big push. They are still promised people on Women Development Bank. They've not said anything about the Women Development Bank. How many people have they been able to give support under the Women Development Bank? They've not been able to tell us how many people they've been able to train under the 1 million coders program 6 months down the line. Basically, the government is still promising. The government, on the other hand, is still blaming the Nana Addo Dankwa government for all the bad things, and they are taking all the credit for all the good things they are showing. Commentators spoke about the nature and the improvement in the macroeconomic fundamentals. The finance minister was not able to tell us what they did specifically different that has brought the movement of the macroeconomic indicators from south to the north. Right? And I expected that you should have told us that inflation is coming down because I did A, B, C, D. Debt to GDP is coming down because I did A, B, C, D. Remember, just on the Auditor General also mentioned the fact that debt to GDP was overestimated because of some 138 billion of expenditure in debt, in loans. So these figures we are seeing, the finance minister never gave us the background to the positive, and the remaining 70% of the statement was about promises they still want to do.
Point well noted. Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News.
Well, we'll take a break on Joy News Prime. Still to come, National Cathedral Secretariat mounts a strong pushback against the government claims of fund misappropriation, describing them as disingenuous, insisting it still owes contractors close to $26 million. Stay for details. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us.
To other stories now, lawyer for the National Cathedral, Charles Owusu, has pushed back against government claims, describing them as disingenuous. They specifically challenge assertion by government spokesperson Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, stating that the mobile money amounts he referenced never reached the Secretariat, as most of the transactions reportedly failed. He said the payments failed to reach the Cathedral's account due to issues with payment, and the platform provider, ADB Bank, were not embezzled by the trustees. He called on critics to direct questions to ADB rather than accuse the Cathedral leadership unjustly.
Inviting you to go look at these documents. The audit report are here. So the accountability that you are talking about, it has been met. ADB always tries to shift the goalposts. So the other day that I was at the NIB, I told the NIB people, I think now we have got to a place where you need to contact ADB for them to tell us why, if the Momo failed, where did the money go to? Because if you send Momo and it fails, you withdraw it, right? When you ask, there is a block. They don't tell you anything. Meanwhile, the money too is a lot of money, Ghanaians' money. Trusty people who are giving the money for trust. And trust means that if I give you money because of the cathedral, if you don't build the cathedral, you're supposed to give me back my money. You understand? So I've done, as a lawyer, I've gone through it with the bank. And they are still not coming forth with anything. Why don't you sue them? Well, you have to get to a certain point before you sue. So now that we are getting to a point where it seems that they are being recalcitrant in giving us the information, then now I can go to court and sue. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, he revealed that the Secretariat currently owes contractors approximately $26 million and made a passionate appeal to President John Dramani Mahama to ensure the continuation of the project.
What I said was that the cathedral is not a public entity, so government does not have to spend any money. Now, let me tell you something. When you go to the president's office right now, the chief of staff's place, there's a place. So much money. So when the president goes to, let's say, Volta region and there's a river and so he hasn't gone to parliament to have approval, he can pay. Oh, I'm sorry. He can pay. So if the president of the Republic of Ghana, elected, decides that I'm going to give seed money, he knows where he's going to get the seed money. But I never said President Mahama should use public funds to build a cathedral. That's not what I said. I said that the hindrance that is being put in the way of the cathedral must stop, so that those of them who believe in the cathedral can make their donations.
Well, away from that, 13 years after his passing, government is taking steps to restore a monument built in memory of the late President John Evans Atam. At a solemn wreath-laying ceremony in Cape Coast, President Mahama announced plans to renovate the now neglected Atam Mills Presidential Library, a facility once envisioned as a national hub for learning and literacy. My colleague Maxwell Agwagwa has more in the following report.
Sorrowful hymns fill the air as hundreds gather, including family members of the late president, government officials, NDC party leaders, President Mahama and Vice President Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, all present alongside other top dignitaries. Songs eulogizing the late president's humility were also sung during the ceremony. In his speech, Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, expressed relief that the confusion which marred last year's celebration when another group led by former NDC executive Kukuwa Nyudo held a parallel event at the same venue has been resolved.
Exactly a year ago, when I was invited to give a brief comments as I'm doing, at this commemoration, I struggled to contain my anger about what I saw in the morning. But I mustered enough courage to declare that what we were seeing on that day will be the last time any such thing will happen at the commemoration of the passing of the King of Peace. Because for the past so many years, we have had to endure the contradiction of commemorating the passing of a man of peace in the midst of some confusion.
The late president's sister, Araba Kwashi, appealed to President Mahama to intervene in the deteriorating state of the library built in honor of her brother,
which was inaugurated about 10 years ago in Cape Coast, which seems not to have anything going on there. But we hope that as we are back, something will happen.
President Mahama assured the family that the John Evans Atam Mills Memorial Library will be renovated and upgraded. He acknowledged the country's current challenges and said the reset agenda he's championing is grounded in the foundation of the Better Ghana agenda initiated by the late President Mills.
Our auntie raised the issue of the Professor Mills Memorial Library. The Honorable Kofi Totobikwachi has been involved with that library from the time it was built. And after we left office, it was handed over to the University of Cape Coast, I remember. After we left office, it fell into a state of disrepair. And we had held this discussion already. And I can tell you that Kofi Totobi and a small group are already working on bringing that memorial library back to the shape in which it should be.
Wreaths were laid by President Mahama, Vice President Nana Opoku-Agyeman, and other top party dignitaries in honor of the late statesman.
Well, away from that, tensions are rising in Sakumo and Nungwa as traditional leaders warned government against further demolitions at the Ramsa site without proper community engagement. They say continued use of brute force could trigger violent clashes. The chiefs say they are open to dialogue, but insist future actions must follow due process and respect local involvement. Kwame Yanka reports.
Long-running battle to preserve the Sakumo Ramsa site has reached boiling point. Years of encroachment have weakened one of the country's most critical wetlands. It's a natural water-holding basin preventing floods in Tema, Ashaiman, and surrounding communities. But this time, the government is going all out. A demolition exercise led by Greater Accra Regional Security Council under Minister Lindo Klu sent equipment deep into the encroached buffer zone. Emotions are flaring as traditional leaders, displaced residents, and irate youth are pointing fingers at government. Here is Sakumono Joshi Manche, Ni Bote Bomongo.
They want to kill us. Today we are here, they should come and kill us. So that me, if I die, I know that I die for my people. I'm a chief. I do not sow this land. This land have been sold before they installed me as a chief. But those who sold it, now they are my subjects. So they are my children. So I cannot fold my hands and watching them. I have to talk for them. We beg them. John Mahama should talk to the ministers, or he should give the national boss order that it should stop.
More chiefs and opinion leaders have joined the outcry, calling the demolition excessive and asking government to halt for further talks.
The green belts we are talking about, you can see it's down there. When it's flat, it doesn't get here where we are standing. So why are they demolishing innocent people's property?
The previous government handled this issue quite well. We are pleading with President Mahama to call his people to order. We all played various roles in his victory, and this issue can be addressed without use of force and destroying people's property. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Tema West constituency, lawyer James Enu, is urging calm, but admits some of the destroyed properties sat directly in the heart of the Ramsa site.
I went to the Jubilee House to engage government, to engage the presidency to see how best we can handle this situation. Fortunately for me, the presidency, which is has a listening here, listened to the concerns that you gave to me, the concerns that I put across before the presidency, and they accepted the concerns and have decided to put the exercise on hold.
Community members say they are open to talks, but will not be silenced with brute force. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy News.
You are still married to Fela McCarthy.
That was 2 years ago. They got divorced, and you just heard him. After that, well, we're not too sure if it was after the divorce, but he sent Easy DM on Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
we can only be happy.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Whilst we're happy for Medical and Easy, please be happy for me, because this weekend we're talking about the musical band series, and it's second D band led by legendary Jedouble Ambule. So it's something that you don't want to miss this weekend. Jedouble and his second D band will be telling their story exclusively on the E-Vibes show, the musical band series, and also so the dates, they're on your screens right now. When you get to Joy News, it's Saturday, 4 p.m. Time has been changed. It used to be 8:30 a.m., but the time has been changed. It's 4 p.m., and then you get a repeat of the same show on Friday, 6:30 p.m., Sunday, 10:30 a.m. When you go to Joy Prime, however, we have 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. So please make a date with us. We will love to hear your opinion about what you make of the musical band series, and also what you make of Jedouble Ambule and the second D band. It's something that you don't want to miss. Yep. Today is Thursday, like I was telling you, that I love Thursdays because we get to throw back on Thursday.
Exactly.
This evening, let's throw back to Our Day. Have you ever had the Our Day experience?
Several times.
Okay.
Growing
I
up.
mean, tell me about your favorite experience of Our Day. I can tell you.
The food, of course, the
yeah.
food and the drinks and all that, yeah.
It's interesting that it's, you know, the only day we get to, you know, really experience the quality of jollof rice for our parents.
And
you
the
know,
chicken thighs and all that.
You know, the spaghetti, you know, the Fanta and all of that. A few years ago, I think 2021, there was a list by one young kid.
Okay.
Remember Oswald?
Yes, I do, yeah.
He had an Our Day list. He became, you know, the sensation of, you know, Ghana. He had a lot of people coming to sponsor.
Yeah.
So this evening we're asking our viewers their moments, they should share their experience with Our Day with us. And we have some comments coming in on the Joy News page. Well, on your screens it's something from, look at it, look at that. Yeah.
And today actually happens to be our day for many public schools.
For many public schools, and this is actually today. Look at the baskets, just bringing back a lot of memories right there. So we've been asking all our viewers out there on our social media page what your experiences are. And we have Abdullah. You can read that.
Yeah, he says, during our time, we only have Jolly Juice as our best drink.
Yeah, today we have we have Kivo Gary. Well, no, you don't take Gary too.
Yeah.
Nancy Agbomaji says that I can still remember the color of my basket. It was green. Yeah, the basket and the little lace that we...
Yes.
That's lace.
Exactly. Yeah, and then Brobe Patches, he stopped trusting English language when my teacher said, quote, give her her pen, end of quote, was correct, but give him pen was incorrect.
You people should stop joking. Stop joking, man.
Yeah.
Stop joking. So, yeah, we still have more comments coming in. Teachers used to, that's Raymond Amanin. Teachers used to eat our food a lot.
Yeah, that's if the food is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those from the rich home.
Yeah. And so, do we still have more comments?
Well, that's all we have.
We don't have more comments. Yeah, and it's also 8 p.m. So we're grateful for your time this evening. We'll come back tomorrow and do this all over again.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for having me all the time.
Thank you so much for making showbiz.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.